And it's day 5 of the apocalypse. And I'm looking at numbers, and like I said a while back, the percentages are holding to what I thought they would. So for Italy, it's still 44%. We're now at 4,000 dead, 5,000 recovered. Spain, it's even worse. Spain is more than 40-something%, just doing it in my head very quickly. 1,044 dead, 1,588 alive, so it's well over 40%. And remember, I said Italy, Spain, Portugal, I would take those numbers as being accurate. And I said Finland and Denmark. I would not take UK numbers as accurate. I would take certain elements of US numbers as accurate, but not overall. Portugal, I don't think, let me just see, Greece, yeah, I think Portugal is probably not on the list yet, is it? Should be, oh yeah, there we go, Portugal. Portugal seems to have only 6 deceased and 5 recovered, but again, you know, it's not enough numbers, but 1,000 cases. China, of course, I ignore completely because they're absolutely lying. Germany is also clearly not telling the truth. Iran is not telling the truth. United States, I have to admit, is probably overall, I would say, you know, I would, as a score, I would give it like 65-70% credibility, which is more than I thought I would be able to give it. Let me just see, where is the United Kingdom? Oh, there we go. United Kingdom is total horseshit. They've had 20 serious cases for like 4 days in a row. It's absolute bullshit. But I know, because I live here, they're just completely wrong. Anyway, the point is that, again, just as I predicted, my numbers are still holding. And it's hovering around 40% for the countries that I trust. So again, this thing is not the flu. By the way, there's been videos now released of hospitals in Italy. Doctors have released videos of the patients in Italy trying to show, hey, look, this is not the fucking flu. And it's not, just old people, which is something else I've been saying for a while. Because, look, you people need to understand, I've got family and friends in Italy, and doctors in my family. It's not like, you know, I'm not just getting the stuff from some random people on street corners. So those of you that are going out there saying, oh, it's just a flu, stop it. You're an idiot, right? You're not helping anybody, and you're making the situation worse for people that are vulnerable. Having said all that, on a more positive note, at least for me anyway, I'm actually really enjoying this. You know, well, personally, of course, I'm not enjoying the suffering of other people, but just thought I'd clarify that because I am the Kurgan, you know. But the thing that's becoming really, really obvious is how much healthier and better and nicer it is to be a family, you know, to be around your family more, because this whole thing of having both the husband and the wife work and the kids in school, it's actually demonic once you see the difference. And you got to keep in mind, I've never experienced that difference, you know, until now, because when I was growing up, you know, my parents were working and I was in school, and so was my brother, and that's how we grew up. And when we started to have kids, it was kind of the same thing. Now, because of this, I'm actually, for the first time, at home. I'm still working full time. In fact, to be honest with you, over the last few days, because of the general panic and having to get all the paperwork in place, I'm probably busier than I've been in the last few weeks. I'm literally like working flat out all day in my office. But nevertheless, you know, I do go out for a toilet break or to grab a cup of tea or whatever. And when I do, I play with the kids a bit and I say hi to them or whatever. And what's become apparent, which is pissing my wife off no end, is that whenever I step out, the little boy is like, Dad, I'm hungry. And, he doesn't know how to speak yet, but you can just tell. And I'm like, okay, boy, don't worry, I'll save you. I know the women are not looking after you. And she's like, I've just been feeding this little pig the whole time. He just ate. And then I'll give him something that he's refused from her, but when I give it to him, he'll just bite down on it. But, it's really interesting because you get to see the dynamics, of his sister, of him, of my wife. It's beautiful. It's really great. It's if you have got the opportunity to be able to be at home, work from home, or survive working from home, I know it's tough for a lot of people. It's going to be tough for us too eventually. It's we're just much better prepared than most human beings because I know how shit works. But and I've been in tough spots before, so I know how to prepare for that. But it's going to be tough for a lot of people, and eventually, if it lasts long enough, it's going to be tough for everybody. But that's just life, you got to take it as it comes. I mean, it's not like we don't have issues, my wife's got some health issues. If something happens to one of the kids now, I recently just had a bit of a scolding for them because they play pretty rough, and they're both young. My son's only is not even 1 year old, and the other one's not quite 5, but they're both little savages. And I'm like, listen, you gotta chill out, because if one of you breaks an arm or cracks a finger, which normally wouldn't faze me, but now there's no hospitals available, you can't go to the hospital because you're gonna get something worse. A broken arm now can be a life-threatening thing. Especially if you're a little kid and you don't have access to, if I break an arm, fuck it, I kind of know what I'm doing, unless there's literally a bone sticking out of the wound. I'll probably survive it. And even if there is a bone sticking out, you might be a cripple, but you can probably survive it if you've got disinfectants and so on, and you know how to set a bone, which is not always easy, especially if it's a bad fracture. But anyway, sorry, getting back on the positive. It's really a huge difference to notice how much of a difference it makes when both parents are at home with the kids. The harmony in the family, in the house, it's great. It's actually awesome, and there's people posting online oh, if the scientists don't find a cure, the parents soon will. There was a Babylon Bee article not too long ago where it's parents panicking as they may have to raise their own children, and it's a fact. I can't believe people like that. I can't think of anything better than being at home with your wife and kids. It's great. It's fucking awesome. And frankly, even the people with my work and stuff are starting to realize, hey, we can do teleconferencing. We do have the technology to just do a meeting online instead of face to face. And probably because the online thing is just that little bit more difficult, it would force everybody to be a little bit more disciplined and make the meeting go quicker and faster. If I have to present some new thing to you and I'm like, look, this is the new marble that we have, whatever. You're going to look at that and you're going to be like, dude, this is over video. What the fuck have you got to tell me in 30 seconds or less? And I ain't going to tell you that in 30 seconds or less, because I know you're not going to sit around. You're just going to glaze over, if I take longer than that. And at the same time, you're going to get back to me and say, look, buddy, it's first come, first served. These guys in Italy can only supply so much of this stuff, and you get what you get, if there's only so many people still working. So do you want it now or now? So it's it works both ways. And I think that makes it a lot more efficient, which basically makes us act like Russians, which I love. Russians are awesome at business. I went to Russia when I was in Russia, they were trying to rope me into this business, which was an absolute fucking scam, because they didn't have the money to do what was supposed to do, and they would say, oh, we'll pay you to look after, and it's dude, I'm not your fucking patsy. I'm not Lee Harvey Oswald. I'm not the guy that you're saying, we're going to pay you good money, and then you're telling me that you're going to build a $50 million building with 10 million. That's not going to fucking happen. So, but the cool thing is for 3 days, they just feed you, wine you, dine you, if you're that way inclined, supply you with women, coke, whatever the hell you want. But the actual business meeting is 5 minutes. Okay, Now we have seen you're a good man. Now, this is money we offer you. You do the job or not? No. Why not? Because it's a scam. Oh, you can call me a scam. Because A, B, C, D. And I've seen this shit all before. I'm Italian. You're Russian. You're 200 years behind us. We know exactly how to do this scam. This is how it works. You're this guy, and you're acting for that guy who's behind the scenes and nobody has seen yet. And this is how you're going to make the money, and this is how you're going to fuck it, and I'm the guy that's supposed to hold the bag at the end of it. I'm not that stupid. But if you've got a real job, you call me again. I'm ready. I like this guy. He's a good man. Okay, we call you again if we have a real job. Thanks. That's it. Meeting done. It's awesome. And now we're going to have to start to get that level of practicality going, which is good. It's awesome. It's great. So yeah, so far, still enjoying the apocalypse on day 5. I hope you're doing equally well. And if you're not, I had a message that sort of made me think a little bit. There was one guy that left a comment on one of the videos saying, I'm a young guy and I'm not handling this very well, and thanks for the inspiration. I don't know what that young guy is. I don't know if he's like 10 or if he's like 25. There's another set of people that I feel a little bit for, and that is like single people, single women, single men. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're on your own, like my dad, he's like an older guy and he's on his own, by choice, mind you, but it can be pretty lonely for people like that, especially if you're self-quarantining, especially if you're older and you're like have to be a bit more careful, so you're gonna be self-quarantining, but you're also on your own, and maybe you don't even have the technology to look after yourself and stuff. I feel for those people, but there's always something you can do. So if you're an older guy and you don't have the technology, you probably won't even be able to see this video, but maybe some of you can get to them, call them, or let them know. Read a book, write a book. If you're an old man or an old woman, you've had some life experiences. Just put it down. Even if it doesn't become a bestseller, doesn't matter. It's a diary you can leave for your grandkids or something. It's a lot of stuff you can do. And if you're a young person on your own and you're feeling lonely because you're a young guy, maybe you're not, you don't look like Brad Pitt, you've never had a lot of girlfriends or whatever, and you're just fuck, now I'm never gonna be with somebody. Don't despair. Don't despair. Even if you can only get online and communicate with people, it's another opportunity for you to have your character show through over time. And if you're a single woman, I wish you the best. There's a few people that I occasionally watch some of their videos and so on. There's one lady, I left a comment on her thing. I said, I hope you find some guy soon, because you can tell, she's kind of hit the wall, although she's quite good looking, so she's not in a terrible spot, but she knows she's hit the wall, and probably, if not past childbearing age, certainly very close to it. And you can tell she's kind of fuck, I'm on my own, and it's ugly, it's not a good feeling to have. But don't despair. Never despair. Remember, that is the aim of the enemy, to make you despair. And I've been very much on my own for a while, for years at a time. Mind you, it was a little bit different because I wasn't any kind of Christian, and yes, I was alone in the sense of internally alone, but I wasn't necessarily physically alone, because I've never had a problem to entertain myself with the opposite sex. But there have been times where I would say, probably when I was in Venice, that was kind of the best time, and it was really actually a good time. I was on my own a lot, and yes, I did have a fling here and there, but substantially I was on my own. And I did do a video about this. When you're on your own, take that time. It's painful, it hurts, but it's good for you. It's lets you get right down to the root of who you are and who you want to be, and it's important. So don't despair always. Never despair. There's always something you can do. And maybe all you can do is take out your carving knife and start to make, like, I don't know, a wooden chessboard, by hand. Whatever. That may become the thing that saves you. That may become something down the line, So don't despair. Use your imagination. Be confident both in yourself and in God's grace, because it's there, even if sometimes it appears it isn't. It is. So, well, that's my message for today. I don't have a lot of stuff to tell you, also because I really am busy, weirdly enough. So I've still got some work stuff to do that I need to just square away before the weekend, so that I can spend some time in the garden with my kids and enjoying ourselves. And again, I wish you all the best. Keep well, keep praying. Don't forget, if you don't have a rosary, you can make one. This is your chance. Use your imagination. I've got my battle rosary, which, one of the guys said, combat rosary, hardcore. And I was just talking about the choking out, but I just realized that actually, if you wrap it around yourself, I know, I can't help myself. It's just the way my brain works. But one of these days, maybe when I got a bit more time and all the work dries up, I'm going to take that big-ass telescope outside when it's not raining and finally get a good look at the round globe moon. I know that just sent some of you spiraling, but I don't care. I'm having fun. All right, good night, and keep healthy and keep happy.